So about 30 years ago, at State Hospital in Hawaii, there was a special ward or clinic for the criminally, mentally ill. This was a place that housed I guess what we will call as bad as it gets. These were folks who committed some of the most horrendous crimes that we can think of. And it wasn't clear if they were mentally sound, so they were taken to this place. It was a bleak place. It was so bleak that the story was that even the paint wouldn't stay on the walls. The energy infused itself into the concrete of the walls. This was a place where the inmates were mostly kept shackled. This is a place where the inmate violence was unspeakable. It's a place of high staff turnover. The employees would not last long there, and it was horrible. And then one day a new clinical psychologist came in, Dr. Hugh Len. And the staff who stuck around were, they weren't impressed. They were like, oh great, here comes another new guy who's going to come in with all new theories and ideas of how to fix this place up, and then in a month or two, when it doesn't work and things look bad, he's going to find some other cushy job to go to, and we're going to be stuck here again. So they weren't, didn't raise any eyebrows. And it raised even less eyebrows when this guy would, he'd just show up. He was kind of cheerful, but he'd just show up. Some days he'd show up late. And he'd go in his office and ask to see some of the files of the inmates, but he never met with them personally. He just holed up in his office. And they were like, the staff was like, what is up with this guy? How did he land this job? Then a few months into his tenure, they started to notice some interesting things. They started to notice things like the gardens at the prison that were always neglected and just a pile of weeds, where someone was taking care of them. They suddenly started to get taken care of a little bit. The tennis courts that had fallen into ruin were being repaired, and the staff was playing tennis, and some of the inmates who normally wouldn't be outside because they were afraid they would act violently towards each other, they were out playing tennis and were playing tennis with the staff. They realized that the inmates were requiring less and less drugs to keep them sedated, and that the use of shackles was declining. Then they realized that some of the inmates were actually getting to the point where they could be released because they had made such a transformation. And this kept on going until about 4 years after this new psychologist got the job. So many inmates had been transferred out or released that it wasn't feasible to keep the place open, and it was closed down. As the staff was noticing this transformation, they asked the psychologist, what are you doing? What's going on? Because the only thing that changed was your presence, and then this shift happened. And he said to them, I've simply been in the practice of Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono. It's an ancient Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. The word literally means, or as close as we can translate ancient Hawaiian speak, to put in order, to correct, to revise, to adjust, to rectify, to arrange, to put right. There's no one word transliteration, but this is the idea behind Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono. In the ancient days, when there was some disconnect between members of a family, this was the practice they would put into place to right the wrongs, to reconnect. Ho'oponopono. When Dr. Len was practicing Ho'oponopono, he didn't need to see anyone. He didn't need to speak to any of the inmates. He just needed to practice it. Ho'oponopono is an idea of 100% responsibility. And that 100% responsibility means that everything you see going on in this world, everything, from the inspirational to the devastational, everything and in between, we have created it and we are responsible for it. Now, I know what you're saying. There's some things going on that I am not responsible for. If you're watching the news this week and see what's going on in Ferguson, Missouri, you're asking yourselves, how is I'm not connected? What? No, that's not to do with me. Responsibility doesn't mean it's your fault. There's a difference between responsibility and blame. It's not our fault, but we are responsible. We are responsible because we, every single one of us, in this room, in this town, in this city, in this country, in this world, we all play a part in some way in creating the world as it stands today. I don't know about you, but every time I think about that, I got to take a deep breath, because that's a difficult concept to bear. But not so much when we remember that responsibility and blame, not the same thing. I got an email from a friend this week who lives in Kansas City, Missouri. And she emailed me and said, I feel so helpless when I look at what's going on there. I feel like there's nothing I can do. And I just thought I'd reach out to you. I don't know that you have any solutions. I don't want you to give me a solution. And I said to her, you know what? I feel the same way. Helpless. Not just because I'm so far away, but what am I to do? What am I to do about something so mammoth? What are any of us to do about any of the situations in this world that seem so beyond our reach and so overwhelming, so horrendous? You know, in Unity we have a practice or a saying that goes, our job is not to set it right, our job is to see it right. Don't set it right, see it right. I want to amend that by saying after we see it right, there is something we can do to start setting it right. Because our fifth basic unity principle says it's not enough just to live these ideas. We have to practice them. We have to put them into motion. And Ho'oponopono is one of these processes that we can do, that we can live from wherever we are, and it will make a tangible difference. As I said in the meditation, when I heal me, I heal the world. When each of you step in the process of healing yourselves, raising your consciousness, living from that place deep within you, that is the spirit of who you are. When you do that, you transform the world. You do. Let me walk you through the steps of Ho'oponopono. It's a 4-step process. And we can say it as a mantra, but I'm going to explain each line first so that when you say these words, you know what you mean when you're saying what you say. Because sometimes we often say a lot of things and hear people say things and we don't really know what they mean when they say it. Sometimes we don't even know what we mean when we're saying it. So I want to walk you through this step by step so you get clear about what you mean and the energy behind what you're saying, because this is what Dr. Len did. Dr. Len sat with the file of each patient and he simply did this process, said this mantra. The first step is, I'm sorry. When we usually say I'm sorry, We usually say it in an apologetic manner, like, I've done something wrong, or I want to make amends. This is not what it means in this case. I am sorry is an acknowledgement that because we are all connected, that there really is, at the core level, no separation between us. That when we heal ourselves, we heal other people around us. That when we bring harm to ourselves, we're bringing harm to another. We live at that level of connectivity. And I'm sorry is saying, I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that, and I acknowledge the fact that because this is the situation that you're in, on some level, I played a part for making it so. Again, responsibility is not the same as blame. It is acknowledging that somehow, somewhere along the line, my consciousness was a part of this creation of the world that we have now. So we say, I'm sorry. I acknowledge that. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Forgiveness, one of the many things it does, is takes us from that place of projection and blame and opens us up to a place of compassion. That's what forgiveness does. It allows us to let go. Let go and get to a place of clarity that, yes, again, we are connected. We are connected. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Forgiveness gets us to a place of gratitude where we can say thank you. When we have been through the forgiveness process, when we first, again, I'm sorry, acknowledge our part in this, get to the place of releasing any blame and projection and open up to forgiveness, surrender to forgiveness, then we can get to a place of gratitude. Gratitude for the gift that that other person or situation is bringing to my life. Gratitude for realizing that while I am responsible for maybe the way it looks, I'm also, good news, responsible for the transformation of it. And when I know that I am not just part of the solution, but the solution itself, I can be in gratitude for that. I can give thanks for that. I can say, thank you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And I love you. Unity's co-founder Charles Fillmore said, love is the great harmonizer. And when we say I love you in this process, what we're doing is reminding ourselves, reestablishing that connection of oneness. Not really reestablishing it. It never went anywhere. We just thought it did. We got caught up into the idea of separateness. The saying I love you is just simply reminding us, reaffirming to us that we are one. We are in harmony. And we are seeking to bring that harmony from a theory and a concept to a practical, visible entity. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. This is Ho'oponopono. This is what Dr. Len did when he sat with the files of the patients one at a time. He opened them up, read the reports, and simply said, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. This is all he did. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Let's practice. Because it's no good just telling you, right? We're going to practice it. We're going to practice it now. My invitation to you is to practice it every day today. So right now, here's what I want you to do. Think of a situation. It could be one that's personal to you, or it could be something bigger. It could be a relationship that's like on the rocks with a friend or someone. It could be anything. Think of a situation in your life right now that you want to bring some healing to. It could be the situation in Ferguson, Missouri. It could be the situation in the Middle East or anywhere, anything. Just bring it to mind for a second. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just bring it to mind. Almost visualize it as an object sitting in front of you. It could be the person, the situation. Just let your imagination visualize that in front of you. Say to it first, I'm sorry. In saying so, we acknowledge that because there is no separation between us, because we are one, because there is only one, that I too bear a measure of responsibility for this. Not necessarily in the literal sense, but definitely the metaphysical and spiritual sense. I am sorry. Let's take a deep breath. Step 2, please forgive me. Please forgive me. As I acknowledge my responsibility in this, I open my heart. I release any thoughts and judgments of blame, of negativity, of resentment, of anger, of sadness. I release it. Go to a place of compassion. Please forgive me. Let's take another deep breath. Thank you. We sit together now in gratitude, knowing that in this process the transformation has begun. That in accepting my responsibility, I step into transforming it. And I am grateful. Grateful. Let's take a deep breath. Finally, I love you. I love you. I am one with you. I am one as you. When I heal, you heal. When I love, you love. When I am transformed, you are transformed. This is the great harmony. This is divine love. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So I invite you to open your eyes. And my invitation for you this week, stay with this situation, whatever came to mind. And start with it in the morning, end your day with it. The Ho'oponopono. Lunchtime's good too. while you're eating your lunch. But practice it. Do it. And if something new comes up for you this week, somebody cuts you off in traffic, an unexpected situation comes up, you hear some more bad news, keep calm and do the Ho'oponopono.